When I was 5 years old, my mother had woken up in the middle of the night, seeing me standing in front of her closet. The more she woke up and tried speaking to me, she realized, what? If that was going on, why didn't anyone say anything? That's kind of crazy. I've seen him very few times since then, typically in crowds, typically when I'm feeling really uncertain. I don't acknowledge him. So out of interest, I checked the internal cameras and swear I could see a shadow just walking in circles. When I was just about to call it quits, I heard something coming from my basement. Oh no, I don't care what I hear from my basement. I'm not going down there. Hello everyone. Hello. I hope you're doing well. I thought it would be fun to read some spooky ghost stories together. So I have gotten onto Reddit and found some spooky ghost stories to read together. So let's get into it. Ooh. That's my ghost impression. Okay. So this one looks good. So it's titled My Imaginary Friend. It seems promising. Growing up, I remember playing hide and seek in the funeral home / morgue my uncle worked at while the adults played games in the Great Hall. My mom is Wiccan, my father agnostic. My aunts and uncles are a mix of atheist, Catholic, and occult obsessed. Parentheses, this becomes relevant later. My cousins and I got very comfortable with the idea of ghosts and demons and spirits and such. Our parents would remind us not to talk things in the dark. I think they meant not to talk to things in the dark. Don't give them names, and to keep a buddy system when we played. Some of us were as young as 4, and some of us were as old as 12. When I was 5 years old, my mother had woken up in the middle of the night, seeing me standing in front of her closet. The more she woke up and tried speaking to me, she realized I was transparent with glowing red eyes. She realized then that whatever was in her closet wasn't me and went running to my room across the hall. As she entered my room, I was waking up from a nightmare. When I opened my eyes and lifted my head, I saw a man in front of my closet asking me to follow him. He was tall, gray skin-toned. He had a long white and pointy beard, red eyes, golden teeth, pinstripe suit, brown and red detailing, tall gold cane with a crow head handle, and a tall top hat. He barely fit my room, floor to ceiling. He also had a vicious white wolf. When I asked who he was, he said he was my grandfather. He said he wanted to bring me to my real home. When my mom entered my room, I was screaming and crying, begging her to not let him take me. She only saw a large dark mass around my window and closet. She came and grabbed me, and I spent the night in my parents' bed. I've seen him very few times since then, typically in crowds, typically when I'm feeling really uncertain. I don't acknowledge him. I haven't given him a name, and every time he finds me, he motions for me to follow him. Each of my aunts and uncles, as well as my mom, have cleansed every house and room I've lived in. I have little knickknacks and such that are meant to help purify my area and protect me. I've always had very vivid dreams and nightmares. I remember each one clear as day. The ones where he has visited me always end up a bit fuzzy though. What should I do about my imaginary friend? So, don't know how you feel about that one. And comments are saying, this is creepy, this is scary. I'd set the intention that he is not welcome where you are and to leave you alone. You need to set your boundaries here. You wouldn't allow a bully to do this to you that is alive. Don't allow a spirit to do the same. The thing is, he keeps his distance from me now. Is never in my home but shows up in my dreams. He used to follow me in the woods at my grandma's house. I haven't seen him in years now, but every once in a while I feel his energy. Still, don't know what he is exactly, but my grandpa, that's for sure. I wonder how this person knows that this is their grandpa. I wonder if they've seen pictures. Okay. Let's see what else we have to read. Three of my personal encounters from least to most spooky. So I'm going to go straight to, well, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. So it's kind of a long one, but we're going to get into it. The story is absolutely legendary amongst my family, so I thought I'd share it online. When I was a kid, I can't remember what age I was, but me and my two older sisters, my parents, and my aunt all moved into a big 8-bedroom suburban 2-story house with a pool, wine bar, and everything fancy in between, like a laundry chute. It was a great place to live for a big family like us. My aunt got the majority of the top floor since she officially owned the house and understandably got first pick, except for one bedroom which my sister took while the rest of us were living downstairs. The stereotypical lifestyle plays out throughout the years. Busy family, pool parties, barbecues, sitting around a winter fire barrel exchanging ghost stories that I initially tuned out because they sounded boring. We lived there for about 10 years, and throughout the years, my sisters both grew up, got boyfriends, or eventually moved out when I graduated from high school. And we decided to finally move out since it was time to move on and downsize. Soon, the day of the move, my aunt had already moved out at this point, so it was just me and my parents with some helping hand friends, and while my family was loading the moving truck, a fart machine I got my dad for Father's Day a couple of months prior had just started going off on its own. We checked both controllers and nobody had touched them. In fact, nobody knew it was there since we're all busy with the move, and we all stood there staring at it go off a few times, completely speechless, not knowing how to react. I hesitantly laughed it off, joking that this house was haunted, and soon after that, I went upstairs to check if we left anything behind before we finally left for our new house. And lo and behold, I saw a reflection in the bedroom window, standing next to my reflection of a child who was a spitting image of my child self, but he was soaked, like he was swimming in a pool, wearing a kid's black and blue swimmers t-shirt, and I presumed he was wearing blue swim shorts with a bowl haircut. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. He just there, innocently smiling and waving goodbye, before fading away and disappearing. I couldn't help but wave back and whisper, "Goodbye." Then I proceeded to hesitantly leave the house, pretending that it didn't happen, as me and my family finally moved on to a new chapter of our lives. Lately, I've asked my sisters about the fart box situation, and they laughed and say, "Bro, that place was haunted for years and you never noticed. We kept on seeing you in the house when you were at your friend's place. Aunt Sally saw you standing at the end of her bed, staring at her in the middle of the night, and we all saw you on during various occasions just standing by the poolside, staring at us throughout the years." What? If that was going on, why didn't anyone say anything? That's kind of crazy. Then my sister went over the history of the house. She and my other sister both looked up all those years ago and found out that it's because a kid who looked like me drowned in the pool about a few decades before we moved in. So they had to realize that the house was low-key haunted, and the entire time these hauntings were happening, I was completely obliviously unaware of the whole situation. I previously never experienced any hauntings until that last day, so I figured that I looked so much like him, he saw fit to leave me alone, or to have my back, by haunting my sisters whenever they were being the stereotypical annoying siblings. So in conclusion, I had a ghost bunkmate who looked and acted like my unofficial twin brother that I never had. I heard a lot of ghost stories about hauntings being bad, but sometimes it's just a true blessing in disguise. I hope that kid has happily moved on to the afterlife by now, or is just having a blast haunting his new roommates. That was actually kind of cute. That wasn't that spooky. But it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. Okay. This one is titled Night Shift Security. Reason I'm posting is something tonight caused an argument between my colleague and shift leader. We work for a TV company in the UK. You have 4 security teams who alternate, and it's probably a 60-40 split on weird stuff happening to individuals, myself included. My experience was within my first few months of starting, was doing my lockup, had finished on the first floor, went to the end, turned out the light and started walking to the exit, and a cupboard next to the door, with its door open, slammed shut, like someone put a lot of force into it. I didn't say anything about it till other guys started mentioning weird stuff, such as whistling in the ear, heavy footsteps, doors slamming the floor above them, internal alarms being triggered, doors opening and tripping the alarm, and overall, just really bad vibe while walking around, like something is watching you. Late night cleaners have mentioned stuff as well to us, like mop buckets being on the other side of the hall to where they left them, but always out of CCTV view. Anyways, tonight, my colleague went up to do his patrol and left within 10 minutes of a 45-minute patrol. Came back to the security lodge talking about multiple whistles, knocking, tapping, and flickering lights. I'm thinking, great, I go up at 3 a.m. So out of interest, I checked the internal cameras and swear I could see a shadow just walking in circles. Luckily, when I went up, was fine, minus heavy feeling. My colleague is now getting his ear chewed out, but figured just post this here. Has been an interesting night. I think being like a night shift security would be super spooky. Haunting or ghosts or no ghosts, haunted or not, I feel like I would get pretty spooked being anywhere by myself at night. Yeah. Also not a job for a lot of women, so spooky. Okay, this one piqued my interest. It says, non-believer questioned everything after this. So that's the title of this post. I'm an atheist. I have never believed in anything supernatural or the spirit world, but this one weird thing happened to me. It was early 2000s. I was 21. My granddad was in the hospital with bone marrow cancer. He didn't have long. In fact, that day we'd been told to visit and say our goodbyes. It was October, so the evenings were getting darker. It was only about 7 p.m. when I got home. I rolled something, put on Fast and Furious, opened my bedroom window, and lit the item. The entire house went dark, like a power cut. TV turned off, lights went out, everything turned off. I noticed as I looked out to the street, it was only our house, so all the other streets in the house had their lights on. Dad checks the fuse box and nothing had tripped it out. It was only off 2 minutes and then everything comes back on. That exact moment, the phone rings. It's Nan. Granddad's dead. Granddad was an electrician. Wow. That's actually really spooky. Comments are saying, I firmly believe it was Grandpa. Me too. When my grandpa died, the watch that my mom always wore stopped at his exact time of death. It upset her because it was a gift from her father, my grandpa. She took the watch to the jewelry repair shops. Oh gosh. And they were all stumped because they didn't see anything wrong with it. She wore it anyways, and it was a beautiful piece. As it was a beautiful piece, 10 days later, I was standing next to her at the burial. She was holding my hand, and I was looking up at the watch when it suddenly started. At the same time as the first handful of dirt was tossed onto the casket. Wow. More spooky stories in the comments. One day, someone I knew had his bedroom doorknob being forcefully jiggled because it was locked. He found out later that morning an uncle he had been close to had died. His brother was shot in a hunting accident, and he saw it in his mind while he was in church. Turns out his brother had been shot at that time. Sometimes loved ones want to say goodbye. That's crazy. You don't have to believe in God or a deity to be spiritual or believe in the afterlife. I'm an atheist and I've been around spirits my entire life. In fact, it's more scientific than anything. Matter doesn't die. Awesome way to have that experience. I agree. That was pretty cool. Okay. Last story for today. The title is My Weirdest Childhood Memory. And by the way, I didn't mention, or maybe I did, but the subreddit that I'm on is ghost stories. I can't remember how old I was exactly, but I must have been around 7 or maybe even 6. I was in the park with my mom and was playing on one of the swings, and another little girl was on the other. My mom called me to leave, and I said I was playing with my new friend. She said no one else was there. Spooky, if you ask me. I had insisted she was there, and we were playing and laughing. I'm not sure what to make of it or why I'm remembering it now. Interesting. I don't know what to make of that story. I don't know if it's... maybe the friend walked away and the mom didn't see her, or maybe the mom wasn't really paying attention to her daughter playing, or maybe she was a ghost. I don't know. Interesting. Okay, this will be the last one. A couple years back, I was home with my mom and no one else. We were laying in my mom's bed, both on our phones and sitting in silence. You know how in some, maybe all homes, the vents in one room go to another room? Well, mine do that. As we laid in silence, my mom said, "Hey, is the TV on? I can hear something. Will you go walk around and make sure nothing is on?" I reluctantly said yes, got up, checking each room to find nothing. When I was just about to call it quits, I heard something coming from my basement. Oh no, I don't care what I hear from my basement. I'm not going down there. Now, at this time, the bedroom in the basement was empty, as it just flooded. I opened the door to the basement, and I remember the light bulbs didn't work from the flooding. I shined my flashlight and made my way down the stairs. My basement walls are lined with bookshelves full of old books, toys, and a lot of my great-grandmother's antiques. Okay, super creepy, like scary movie vibes. I was spanning the bookshelves with my flashlight and saw what was making the noise. Sitting on a shelf was a horse music box, spinning around, playing music. As soon as I shined my light on it, it fell off the shelf. Of course, I turned and ran upstairs. My mom insisted that I go back down and try to find the music box. To this day, we've never found it. That's absolutely terrifying. Also, why didn't the mom go downstairs with her? Like, I'm sure she was super scared, and I would have been like, yeah, no, I'm not going back down there. That's not happening. Okay, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed these videos. this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this gave you spooky, spooky, spooky chills. Spooky, spooky, spooky chills or spooky, spooky tingles. Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. And if you would like to see more content from us, you can find us on